Hey friends, Damian Mason coming at you with a question regarding food inflation, which you've no doubt experienced. Will fat grocery bills create skinny Americans? Will the food inflation that you're experiencing each time you open your mouth and fill it with a forkful of food create a skinnier America where Americans eat less food? Well, this is something to consider because this is something that some folks have actually wanted to happen. Allow me to explain. The United States of America, out of the 190 some odd countries that are on planet Earth, has the cheapest food in the world. Always has, frankly. For a very, very long time, we have celebrated. In fact, we created the United States Department of Agriculture in 1862 under President Abraham Lincoln, who 2 years later, in his final address to Congress before he was assassinated, called the People's Department. The United States Department of Agriculture's explicit purpose has been to create a situation in America where we can produce affordable and abundant food for the masses. Also safe and affordable and abundant food for the masses. We have done so. You know that a few years ago, the percentage of Americans' income spent on food was about 6.4% of our gross income. Pretty darn good, isn't it? Considering that in Nigeria, the average Nigerian spends 55% of her gross income on food. We spend very little of our income as a percentage basis on food. That's a good thing. But a problem arises when you look at rampant food inflation. Who does it punish? Maybe not you, maybe not me, but certainly the poorer among us who spend a greater deal of their income, a great deal more of their disposable or even gross income is spent on food. That's also where we find the biggest obesity epidemic. About 40% of Americans are obese. Around 2/3 of us are overweight in some capacity. Years ago, you may recall, there was actually big calls from activist groups who wanted our food to become more pricey. The idea, make food pricey through imposing taxes, so therefore these fat asses can't eat so much and won't drink things like soda pop. So what happened? Locales like Seattle, the Northeast, Philadelphia, a lot of districts or areas, if you will, that lean a certain way politically did pass taxation to put a bigger cost on things like soda pop, blamed for obesity, blamed for diabetic increases in the United States of America. So this was actually pushed by activist groups that wanted food to be more expensive, especially processed food, sugary foods, snack foods, and soft drinks, to then reduce the amount of consumption and thereby make America thinner. Has it worked? Not really. The result hasn't really changed the obesity percentages in the United States of America. We made the food and the soft drinks and the snack foods and the sugary products more expensive in some of these areas through taxation, but we didn't actually end up moving the needle on obesity. But will food inflation do that? You know, last year, 2021, your government raised the SNAP benefits, that's food stamps is what it used to be, by 27%. So the poorer among us were given a 27% bump on their food stamps to go and buy food for their families. That does outpace inflation right now. But as inflation continues onward, we're putting what you would call a tax on food and thereby costing people, certainly at the lower end of our socioeconomic spectrum, a great deal more of their income on food. So will it have an impact on the bathroom scale? My prediction is no, because generally folks seek out calories. What this might actually end up doing is, while there are folks that say, oh, this will be great because consumers will switch to fruits and vegetables, which haven't had such inflationary pressure yet. Well, I don't think that's really what's going to happen. I believe that consumers will continue to seek out the calories that they want, and they might actually trade down. That's what usually happens. I can no longer have cheeseburgers, so I'll go to something cheaper, maybe hot dogs. I can't have steak, I'll go down to pork chops. Can't have pork chops, I'll go down to chicken breasts. We generally all go down a category or two if the economic situation dictates. But what will the heavier among us opt to do? It's my prediction that those consumers will still fill their bellies with the amount of calories that make them feel good, or the amount of food that makes them feel good. And it may not necessarily be healthier choices, but it might be even worse choices. Cheaper calories doesn't necessarily mean less of them. So, will fat grocery bills create a skinny America? And it's really interesting that this is coming full circle, because it was only a few years ago that activist groups wanted this to happen. Much like you've heard people over the years that were really hardcore environmentalists say, I think it'd be great if gas was more expensive because driving cars with gas is bad for the environment. Well, now you have it. It might be maybe better for the environment, or so you think. It might be better for the obesity situation to have pricey food, but what does it do to a child that is in a poorer family? What does it do to a family's budget that was thinking they were going to spend about 6.5% of their income on groceries, now double that? All of a sudden, there's a bill they can't pay. There's a product they can't buy. And maybe that product is the product that your company sells, and now it's bad for your business. See how this all works? The interconnectivity. Question for you to ponder. Will fat grocery bills create a skinny America? My prediction is no. But I believe there will be other, more negative impacts that come from very expensive groceries. And we're heading there.